Great to have you with us on another edition of the USF Football Radio Show. We've got another short week. It's Friday night football at Raymond James Stadium. Second-ranked Cincinnati, 6 o'clock kickoff for the Bulls and the Bearcats. We'll talk a lot about that game as the hour goes on. Head coach Jeff Scott with us as always. Joey Johnston in for Sam Barrington this week. And Coach, didn't wind up at the end the way we had hoped, but what a fantastically entertaining game the Bulls put on Saturday night, especially that first half. Some really historic performances, some things we hadn't seen before from a fan standpoint. That's why you love football. You never know exactly what you're going to see, what's going to happen, and the Bulls gave their fan base a lot of thrills that night.
Yeah, we made another big emphasis about getting off to a fast start right there, and we did that. You know, obviously with Houston's kickoff return team and that returner they had, it was really dynamic. You know, really challenged our guys and challenged Batee and Jimmy Horn and our kickoff return team that, hey, we've got an ability to return for touchdowns as well. Let's be sure after this game that they're talking about our returns and not their returns. And so to be able to come right out the gate, that was just a great start, really great energy. You know, I really felt like our fans, our students, there was a lot of energy in that game and a lot of excitement. It was a fun game all the way until the end. Obviously, we came up on the wrong side of it there in the fourth quarter. But yeah, I was really proud. I think if you maybe a random fan would turn on the TV and watch both teams play, you wouldn't know which one was 7-1 going into that game, and that's really what I've challenged our players is how we go out and play each and every week should have nothing to do with what our record is or what's happened in the past. It's really all about what you do on that night, and again, I'm just really proud of our guys' effort, their ability to continue to push through. And unfortunately, we just came up short there and just kind of ran out a little bit of gas there in the track meet that we had there in the second half.
You mentioned Brian Batee with 2 100-yard kickoff returns, only the second guy in FBS history to do that. You don't see 2 kickoff returns by the same guy in a game at any level, hardly at all. But I would imagine as you're watching those plays on tape, not only his return but the blocking, that had to be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. That group. We actually talked about it early in the year. That was the one group who were a little bit slower getting off the ground, and I've said, and I think I said it last week, probably the most consistent phase of our team so far this year has been our special teams. But early in the year we just weren't quite in sync back there on the back end, which kickoff return is a lot about timing and timing up the kickouts with the runner and the different things like that. But they continue to work, and now to be able to go out there and have 2 in one game was really something that I know is going to give our guys confidence, and hopefully we can continue that here in the last 3 games.
And offensively, this was a pretty effective game. Houston came in 4th-ranked defense in the nation. Bulls had right on 400 yards of offense. They ran the ball enough to keep them honest. They threw the ball quite well. This was a pretty productive game offensively. Yeah,
we knew it was going to be a tall task. I mean, Houston, obviously statistically and on video, one of the best defenses in the country coming into the game. I think our offensive line, really battled there in pass protection. I mean, that defensive line for Houston was pretty incredible, and to give up no sacks against that defensive line, I think that's definitely a positive. It was also great to see Timmy McClain be healthy and continue to make some plays for us with his feet, and be able to get out. There was a couple of times it looked like they had him back there, and he came out of it and went and made some nice throws there to Chris Carter on one side for a touchdown, and then also to Mitchell Brinkman on the other side. So there was a lot of positives there. I think just the biggest thing offensively for us, we were just disappointed. We were not able to have enough rhythm running the ball and really being able to keep. There's about 3 drives there in the third quarter where we just really failed to kind of get that first down to keep moving. And when you're playing a team as strong and explosive as Houston, you have to make each and every one of those drives count. We were just a couple plays offensively away from really being able to do what we need to do to win the game.
So many touchdowns and so many great touchdowns to watch in this game. You mentioned your tight ends, Mitchell Brinkman and Chris Carter both scored. on tremendous individual efforts. Brinkman going up to get the ball away from a defensive back, and Carter making a spectacular diving catch in the corner of the end zone. Speak about just the athleticism and what we saw in those two plays.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, from my vantage point on the one to Chris Carter, from standing on my sideline, I thought that he was already out of bounds. I thought he just ran out of bounds, and next thing I know, I see him over there jumping up and down in the end zone. I didn't even realize he threw the ball. I couldn't see from where I was, and it was one of those I went and watched on the Jumbotron. And the fans in that corner section were telling everybody it was a touchdown before the officials even said it. So, you know, that was great. Chris Carter is, I mean, he just exemplifies everything we want with the young men in our program. Just a tremendous worker. He's got a great attitude every day. And, you know, it's just great to see him rewarded. And then, you know, Mitchell Brinkman is one of our senior captains and really one of our leaders of the offense. And, you know, he had a couple of tough games earlier in the year. And to be able to go up and make the play that he made right there in a key part of the game, I thought that was incredible, and you know, really a nice throw by Timmy on that one as well. So you know, hopefully we'll be able to continue to find those tight ends here in the last few games.
One of my regrets in this game was not being able to see Schrader from 60. You had him lined up at the end of half and just ran out of time.
Yeah, that was difficult there. I was hoping that we were going to get a chance. I knew that you know, without us having timeouts on the 2 seconds, it was not going to be enough time to spike the ball. You have to have three seconds to do it. So we got up there, and I think one of the guys was already in the locker room on a field goal team. But then I thought that their coach called a timeout, which would have been a very strange time to do that. But that's what I thought I saw over there. So I was really excited. And then they came over and said, no, the game's over, or the half is over. So. You know, the play before it, you know, Timmy just threw the ball a little bit high, went right over Weaver's hands, and ideally it was 15 seconds when we snapped the ball for that first one, and we could have got up there, clocked it, and let Spencer go out and kick the field goal. And that's something that we do work in practice, and ultimately just a couple seconds short there.
There were so many momentum shifts in this game, so much to cover, but there was a point where you're up 14-7. Near your goal line, getting out of the end zone, and they end up calling a safety. Now I'm down there on the sidelines. I was at ECU. I thought that was absolutely a safety. This one, I said, there's no way it's a safety. I was wrong both times. I don't know if my eyes are failing, but what do you make of this safety, no safety thing that kind of worked against you both ways?
Yeah, we've been on the wrong side of this 2 weeks in a row. The official that I was talking to on my side, actually earlier in the game, you know, was talking about the one from the week before, and that we were probably right that it may have been a safety. So whenever this happened, I said, hey, this is a great time to go ahead and right the wrong from last week. And you know, but yeah, all I can think about is sometimes these kind of calls and situations. You know, you go back to the throw their guy had, and the guy caught it, you know, in the back of the end zone maybe for their first touchdown, which is just a crazy deal. But you know, when you've coached long enough, there's years where maybe you get a lot of breaks, and then there's years where maybe some of the things kind of go against you. So hopefully we're using all those up this year so that next year we can be on the other side of it. But yeah, you know, that was disappointing there with the safety, and we were just trying to get the ball out far enough to be able to punt it and go. But that's something we'll continue to work on.
Well, he'd been banged up for a couple of games and then had to sit out for a game and a half. I think Bulls fans may have forgotten or may not have understood how elusive Timmy McClain is, but they sure got an example of it in this game. And that goes back to the offensive line too, not only protecting him, but holding blocks while he keeps plays alive. There were times when he was 5-6 seconds looking downfield before tucking it and running it.
Yeah, you know, Timmy is one of those quarterbacks that every time he touches the ball, you feel like something good can happen. You know, and there's just some guys that have that ability, and they make it really exciting. And I think the offensive line, they want to block even harder and even longer when they know that guy back there is making guys miss and has a chance. You know, one thing I was really pleased with that we talked about is, you know, the scramble plays that we made. Obviously the two to the tight end that we discussed earlier, but also there was a couple other nice scramble throw and catches. And those are opportunities when you have a guy that can run back there at quarterback. You know, defenses have to come up to defend the run, and they open up some guys down the field. And so that's something we've been talking a lot with our skill players on offense, is really doing our scramble rules and being ready and looking for those opportunities. And I think, Timmy's a guy that is always going to be elusive and always going to be a threat to run it or throw it. And it's just really good to see him back healthy this week and really playing confident. And even the nice touchdown run he had right there towards the end, I thought was a nice play as well for him.
I know you've been banged up on defense, you're undermanned on defense, and you were under pressure in this game. But you hung in there and you battled with them in the fourth quarter and stayed in the game. What can you say about what your defense is putting out there under a lot of pressure every week?
Yeah, obviously it's frustrating for those guys. I mean, they take a lot of pride in their work. I think that the big thing going back and watching the video is just the big plays. I think what we've been able to do in some of these games is if we can eliminate the big plays and make them have to earn their way all the way down the field, we have a chance to get some stops and keep them off the board. But kind of the one play touchdowns, that 97-yard run was really a backbreaker, for our guys, and then some of the deep balls, the throws that really we had done a better job the last couple of weeks in kind of limiting some of those big plays, and unfortunately we gave up too many of them. And then I just felt like down the stretch, it just looked like we kind of ran out of gas a little bit there, and part of that also kind of with where we are in the kind of strengths that we have right now, and maybe some of the challenges. That goes back to kind of us on offense. Being able to run the ball and keep the ball a little bit more offensively, I think helps keep our defense off the field a little bit. But one positive defensively is we were better on third down. I think we were 75% stops on third down in some of those situations, which was progress. And then on the other side, offensively, against a really good Houston team that was, I think, ranked #1 in third down defense, we were 50%, and I think all 7 third down conversions came on touchdown drives. So that's another big emphasis and something that we've been talking about and working on.
All right, stay with us. Cornerbacks coach George Barlow will join us later in the show. We'll talk about the Bulls' upcoming game against Cincinnati when we return on the USF Football Radio Show. Welcome back. The Bulls are back in action. Another short week. They'll play Friday, and don't miss the kickoff. It'll be 6 p.m. at Raymond James Stadium for the Bulls and Cincinnati. We did get the start time for the Bulls' next game on the road in New Orleans against Tulane. That will be a 12 noon start for the Bulls and the Green Wave. All right, Coach, Cincinnati comes into town. They had a close game last week with Tulsa, came up with the win, so they are still #2 in the nation, and obviously they're trying to get into that top 4 overall ranking, which means they're going to be fighting every minute of this game and not only trying to win, but trying to win in as convincing a fashion as possible. But again, we talk about opportunities for this USF team, and another one presents itself on Friday.
Absolutely. I think as a competitor, these kind of games get you excited, and there's no doubt that they're one of the best teams in the country. They've earned that, and it doesn't take long watching the video. I mean, they have multiple top draft picks. They have a corner that's probably a first-round draft pick here this year, and just very talented. Team speed, size. They've recruited extremely well, and it's going to be a great challenge. But just like you said, the way we look at it is it's another opportunity, and the big focus for us this week is really just to stay worried about what we're doing, how we do things, and really kind of clean up some of the mistakes, because we've shown throughout the year this year that we can go out there and compete, and when everybody's on the same page and doing the things that we really need to do to be successful, that we can have that success. And so there's a lot of respect that we have for Cincinnati, but these kind of games, I think it's the top-ranked team that we've ever played coming into Ray J. So if that doesn't get you excited, then you shouldn't be here. So I know our guys will definitely be looking forward to the big challenge and the opportunity to play one of the best teams in the country.
If you're sitting in California as a fan watching this game, you see the #2 ranked team trying to get the playoff, and you see the upstart South Florida Bulls, and that's what they're going to think about it. But obviously, this game can be won. You can upset this team. So mentally, how do you get your guys in that frame of mind where they know that this is an achievable task? We can play with these guys and we can beat them.
Yeah, well, I think the number one thing is you don't change what you've been saying to the guys all year long. And, what our message to our guys is, hey, it's really about us. We have what we need in this room, and it's about how we play. And obviously, you can look at common opponents and records and all kind of different things like that. But, at the end of the day, I think our guys have seen, from playing Florida early in the year and BYU and playing good, some good teams in SMU, and obviously Houston is one of the most talented teams as well in the country. And we've proven that when we execute, when we play complementary football, that we can play with anybody on our schedule, and that'll be the case again this week. But really, we have to be at our best, and that's really what we control. We don't control anything about the opponent or how they play or what they do, but we do control being at our best. And I think for me, the encouraging thing, even though we've not been able to have the record that we all want, the encouraging thing, if you've been following us closely, you see a team that in a lot of areas is getting better and is getting more confident and is getting closer to breaking through. So what better time to be able to get that breakthrough landmark victory than on a Friday night national TV against a number 2 ranked team in the country. So I think our guys understand. They don't need a pep talk. They know what we need to work on. They know the challenge that's ahead. But they also know that the opportunity that's going to be there, and the question is just going to be if we're prepared to be able to meet that challenge.
Another halftime lead in this game last week against Houston. You've had a series of games like that now. You get to the second half and the effort is clearly still there, the want to is still there, but things haven't worked out in the third and fourth quarters. Does that become a psychological challenge to get this team believing late in the game?
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about that each halftime. What do you say? Do you do something different or whatever? And at the end of the day, we got to be able to break through that. That's kind of what I told the guys at halftime this week. Hey, we've been here before. There ain't nothing I'm going to be able to tell you that's going to be able to change something. At the end of the day, for us to take the next step of this program, we have to be able to go play 4 quarters and finish. And, I don't think it's one thing. I think anytime that you are not able to have the finish that you want, there's multiple things that you have to look at. And we kind of talked about that a little bit, last week. I think overall, what you look for as a coach when you go back and watch the video is it because guys are not lined up where they're supposed to be? Is it because maybe guys aren't giving great effort chasing the ball? And really, I don't see a lot of that. What I saw guys giving good effort, but I saw guys just kind of running out of juice a little bit. And I think, unfortunately, and again, it goes back to offensively being able to run the ball and control the ball. But like I said, we had 3 series there in the third quarter where we had a chance to have some nice drives, and we were 3 and out on 2 of those, and I think we had a 5-play drive on the third one. And those were opportunities for us to control the game a little bit better and really protect a defense that's a little bit thin, just from a numbers standpoint. But when you get in these shootouts, then I think that lack of depth has kind of caught up with us a little bit. And so hopefully at some point we're going to be able to break through. But it's a lot better to be. I'd much rather be working on that than working on how to talk to your team when you're down 3 touchdowns at halftime. We've been there too. So we're getting closer. And now we just got to be in a position to be able to go finish and get over the hump. And again, this has been against some really good teams in competition that we've been playing this season.
I know in your former life as a Clemson assistant, when the college football playoff standings came out, there wasn't a lot of suspense. You guys were always in the hunt. Now Cincinnati's very disappointed they were not. They're number 2 in the polls. They were ranked lower than that in the standings, and there's a groundswell of people expand the playoff. What do we do to give everybody an opportunity? I know you're a believer in that. What are your hopes moving forward now to have a new playoff system where there's more inclusion?
Yeah, my hope is that it expands. I would love for it to go to 12 games. I think when you look at the basketball NCAA tournament, I mean, the thing that makes it exciting is that there's a lot of teams that start off that have a chance, right? and everybody's watching and wanting to see, these teams that never get a chance to play each other and how they, different conferences and different levels, throughout the basketball scene, they get a chance to play each other. They get upsets, and at the end of the day, the best two teams end up in the final game. And but to be able to expand it where at the beginning of the season, the majority of teams in Division I feel like they have a path to the playoff. I think that's really important, because I think if they don't do that, then there's a lot of teams that start the year, if you stay at 4, that really have no chance. And then it kind of takes away a little bit of the excitement that goes into November and leading into that kind of playoff time. So it's definitely my hope that they'll expand to 12 teams. I think that, if they expand to 8, it's only going to be a little bit longer, and they're going to expand it again. So I think to go ahead and get ahead of that and get to 12 is the right number. And, hopefully, that's something that'll happen here in the very near future.
Going back to last week's game against Houston, homecoming week, that was a good crowd at that stadium, I thought, in that game, and they were very involved, not only the students, but the general fan base as well. Does that feel like progress a little bit as well?
Absolutely, and that was something that I really meant to say in my post-game press conference. I just wanted to really compliment the crowd, because there was a lot of energy. I mean, just from when we got off at the Stampede, there was a lot of people there, a lot of alumni there to support our team getting off the bus, which I think really gave our guys a lot of energy, and we knew that it was going to be a good crowd and a good environment. And I think the excitement in there in the first half, the crowd really helped feed our guys that energy. And to be able to look over there in the student section, we had a great crowd of students there, and just looks like they were having fun. And so to me, it was an opportunity of really what I think's ahead for this program. And I'm looking forward to hopefully having a great crowd as we go take on one of the best teams in the country this Friday night.
So Friday night against Cincinnati, it's senior night. In some ways, I'm not sure what that means with the COVID year, the extra year, but you will have some guys who will be playing their last home game, and that's always very special and meaningful. What do you think that's like for these guys and for you to say goodbye to these guys at home for the last time?
It's been a long time, but I remember my senior day, and that's just something as a player you always remember, your last time being able to play in your home stadium, and it's not just their last time playing, it's the last time that this team, each year it's a new team, right? There's new players, new coaches, just a lot of new things that happen in the off season. But for this 2021 team, it'll be the last time that we get to play at home in front of our home crowd at Ray J. And so I know there's always some emotions for those seniors, and this year is a little unique because our last home games are our 10th game of the year, so it's still got 3 games to go. But I know that our seniors want to go out on top. I know our team wants to put these seniors out on top this week. So it definitely adds a little bit more excitement and juice to a great game, and we're definitely looking forward to honoring those seniors before the game Friday night.
Were you able to put those things out of your mind on your senior night, or did that kind of creep into your thought process even in the game?
Yeah, I mean, you want to focus on what's going on. I wasn't playing as much. I was really a holder and a backup wide receiver, so I had plenty of time on the sidelines to kind of think through that stuff. And hopefully our seniors will be really busy executing their job. Yeah, there's no doubt. There's times and moments that you kind of look around and take it all in, and that's just kind of part of that senior day and that experience in your last home game.
You had mentioned, this is the number 2 team, the highest ranked team to ever play USF at Ray J, which is true. But it's also an accumulation of, hey, you played Houston, you played Brigham Young, you played Florida, you played NC State. An incredible schedule all season long, and it's been tough to weather, I know, but what are the residual effects moving forward for these guys to face this level of competition, not only for this season, but moving forward?
Yes, there's no doubt about it. My word before the year was grit, and we've been getting a PhD in grit and perseverance. But when you continue to show up, probably the one thing that I'm most proud of, obviously I'm not proud of our record and not being able to finish a few of these games where we've had opportunities, but what I am proud about of this team up to this point is that, every single week when you watch them show up in the first half, and they're playing like they're undefeated. and that's not common. I think you could look not very far, different places, and see teams that maybe kind of give up and kind of fall off right there at the end when things don't go their way early on. And but man, our guys, there is a muscle that kind of gets stronger within your team, within your culture and your program when you go through this time of perseverance week in and week out, and you continue to show back up the next week and continue to get better. That just kind of really, it builds something that I think we're going to be able to take with us, not just through the end of this year, but really into next year. And it's something that's difficult during the time, but really makes you better down the road as long as your guys can continue to move forward no matter what. And that's what I've seen from this group to this point, and that's what gives me a lot of optimism here moving forward.
Coach, thanks. We'll see you out there Friday.
Great, thank you.
Head coach Jeff Scott, stay with us. TJ Robinson later in the hour. George Barlow next when we come back on the USF Football Radio Show. Welcome back to USF Football Radio Show. Bulls in Cincinnati, and don't get there late. It's a little bit of an unusual start Friday, 6 p.m. at Raymond James Stadium. And by the way, if you're going to follow the Bulls to New Orleans in the game against Tulane next week, we got the start time. That'll be a 12 noon kick at Ullman Stadium in New Orleans. George Barlow joins us, Bulls defensive secondary. Coach, thank you. We appreciate the time. This has been a challenging year with the injuries, and I guess it started with Will Jones right before the first game. Sometimes you just have to persevere, and this group has done that this year.
Yeah, you have to. Like you said, it started with Will, and then we had Christian Williams as well, because the guys that we just mainly responsible for was the corners, but the Christian Williams went down, and Will went down, and then we had some other ones. Day Evans went down as well at some point. TJ. So it's been a mix of guys, but it's our job to have that next man up mentality and coach whoever's ready and have other guys ready to play, and that's what we've tried to do.
Coach, you coach the cornerbacks, and this is a position where you've got to have a very short memory. You can't. You've got to be resilient. You've got to be in there all the time because you're under constant pressure. How do you coach the mental side of that to get these guys ready to take on these receivers and the assault that they face there on a weekly basis?
Like you said, they've got to be mentally prepared as well as physically. But where I start is just making sure technique-wise that they're prepared for every situation as far as the pad level, the footwork, the eyes, their keys, and making sure they're solid in those aspects. But then the second part of it is, like you said, just making sure that they're confident in what they're doing, and they can have that next play mentality, especially when they haven't played a bunch. Because Day-Day's one who's been out there in the fire a little bit from last year, and then everyone else hasn't really been out there. So it's been as much of a challenge as getting them ready physically as mentally. But the mental aspect is a big part of it, and we work on that all the time.
Corner is such a tough place to play. I mean, the game is almost against them a little bit now, the way it's called and the penalties and things oriented toward the big plays, oriented toward offense. I mean, if a guy wants to be a cornerback, he's got some strength of character.
Oh, no doubt, you have to, because like you said, you're out there on that island every play. Just about every play, especially with the RPO, so it can be run pass every play. So they have to be on their P's and Q's. So you have to be excellent in your technique, with your eyes, your keys, your footwork. But you got to have that on the island mentality, and those are the things you have to work on constantly. You have to be, a hard worker. You have to be competitive, and that's a mentality you have to be good at. Because, like you said, you're on that island, and you got to want it. And these guys are learning that mentality as we go along.
How much has defensive coaching changed in your life? I mean, when you think back a few decades ago, hey, get a shutout or hold somebody to 7 or 10 points, which we never see anymore with the quarterbacks and the offenses and the 7-on-7s, the way they put up points. I know you want to get a shutout if you can, but the way it's judged now, how do you judge a good defensive game? Is it just kind of weathering the storm and outscoring a team? Is it the mentality of that changed?
It's changed some, but at the end of the day, it's about limiting the other team in as many points you can. Because the offenses have become so talented that you got to try to eliminate the big plays and make them work for everything that they get. If you can eliminate the big plays and make them work as they go along, you got a chance to possibly getting a turnover or getting a stop in the red zone. So a lot of it comes just trying to eliminate those points where it was, before. It was about the shutouts and the numbers of yards and things like that, but a lot of times it's coming down to just making them work the ball down the field and eliminating as many points, limiting them to as many points, less points as you can.
George Barlow is with us, Bulls cornerback coach. You've had a really remarkable career, starting with your time at Marshall, and part of the way of the world for coaches in college football is you move around a little bit. Opportunities come, and you've been all over the country. We talk about coaching cornerbacks now, but you've coached a lot of different positions as well. Tell us about life as an assistant coach at this level. It's fascinating, and I don't think sometimes the fans have an understanding of everything that goes into it, not only professionally, but family life as well.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Because like you said, I get a chance to work in many different parts of the country. Most of my career has been probably half and half FCS and FBS. So I've moved around a little. I probably haven't moved around as many years as I've been at. I probably haven't moved around as much as most because there's been several places. I've been 7 years. I've been 10 years, and I think the least I've been somewhere is probably 5 or 6. So I've been lucky in that aspect, but it's been a lot of fun meeting a lot of different people. But like you said, the family part of it is a little different. You just got to make sure that you spend that quality time with them when you can, and making sure you're with, especially when you start talking about your wife and someone who's going to spend time with. They've got to understand that part of it too. And I've been lucky enough to be with someone who understands that the amount of time that's going to have to be put into it, but at the same time, I have to do a good job of making sure when I am at home that I'm intentional in what I'm doing there, and making sure that the family is as happy as the kids that I'm taking care of every day.
So one of your last stops was North Carolina State up in the ACC, and now you find yourself down here at USF. How did that come about? What was your interest in USF, and what relationships did you have that kind of led you here?
The biggest thing is Coach called me with the opportunity. We didn't have a big time, know each other, but we knew a lot of the same people. But the opportunity came up, but it was also an opportunity for me because we talked about the family aspect of it. I have an older daughter and grandkids who live in the area, so it was a no-brainer for me. And I did my research on Coach, and he did a great job. We knew of each other, from being in the ACC, and he did a great job when he was there, with the wideouts and the offense. So, and other people that I knew that knew of him knew that he would be a great head coach, and he's got a bright future. And it was so between the family and being and a chance to be a part of something special, it was a no-brainer for me.
As this program continues to be built, recruiting is going to be critical.
Mm-hmm.
Give us the profile of the kind of guy you would like to have coaching as you work with the cornerbacks. What's the basis of what you're looking for?
Basically, guys are going to make some plays. No, but yeah, they're going to make plays. But the body type is going to have some, have some length to them. We like to shoot for 5'10" and up. Have the footwork, have the hips and the flexibility, some ball skills, and just have, like you said, that on an island mentality. Guys like that, that are going to put themselves in a position to make as many plays as they possibly can. But the size, the speed, the footwork, and the mentality are the things that you're looking for.
One guy that seems to fit that profile, we're going to speak to him later, T.J. Robinson. Another guy with great length, a great body, a local guy who's incorporating himself into the on field for the first time this year. Speak about the season that he's had and how he's adjusted to things.
He's adjusting well. It's just learning and getting the feel for the position because he's got all the things you want. He's got the length, he's got the speed. Now he's just got to continue to get the reps to where he can get get accustomed to playing a position and put himself in a position to make more plays. But he's adjusting well. He's got a great attitude. He works hard. He makes the sacrifices to get better at the position, and he's just got to continue to learn as we go. But he's definitely, his upside is really high, and he's got a chance to be a really good player. We just need to continue to get him as many reps as he can. It's kind of hurt him a little bit when he got banged up, so he missed a couple of games in there. But we got him back the last couple of weeks, and I think he's going to continue to get better and be a really good player.
Coach, thanks. Good luck on Friday.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Coach George Barlow with us. The Bulls coming up Friday night against the Cincinnati Bearcats, and we'll continue on the USF Football Radio Show after this timeout. Bulls in Cincinnati, 6 o'clock for the kickoff Friday at Raymond James Stadium. This is the final home game of 2021 before the Bulls go on the road. New Orleans first and then Orlando to wrap up the regular season. TJ Robinson joins us now, part of that Bulls defensive secondary. TJ, you're a local guy, Riverview High School, and you started your college career at Rutgers. And we know Rutgers a little bit. We were in the Big East at the same time, so we traveled up there quite a bit. That's a different place than Riverview. What was that adjustment like when you first went up there?
The adjustment, it was pretty hard. Getting used to the weather, like it was pretty cold. It got like one time it was snowing, and I kind of had to get used to walking outside in the snow, like keeping my hands in my pocket because my hands were always freezing. It was different.
Good thing that you came home.
Yes, sir.
TJ, obviously USF was on your radar before you went to Rutgers, considered coming here, and now when you wanted to leave to come home, what was kind of your decision making that led you back here?
The decision making that led me back here was my family. I wouldn't be able to play in front of them. Also, like my friends. I have like most of my family. They live in the Tampa Bay area. Like my grandma, my auntie, my dad. He stays like 30 minutes away. Also, my sister. She stays like 5 minutes away from here. They all led to my decision making to come back.
I guess every position group kind of sticks together in football, but it seems like the defensive secondary is usually a unit that's really tight, the way you really have to depend on each other to try to stop big plays. Tell us a little bit about the guys in your group, your relationship with them. It's a lot of new faces this year for Bulls fans, guys transferring in and coming to USF for the first time, but you guys have been able to play as a unit.
Yes, sir. One of the many guys that I could say, Daquan Evans, he brought me in. He kind of like taught me a lot of the stuff defensive wise. Kind of taught me the scheme that we were running. He brought me in and made me comfortable and be able to play at my full speed. And also with most of the guys that just came in, like C. Will, and then we have Pat Hill. Those guys, they're pretty good too. And then we all kind of got close once they got here, so we all have a really good bond.
TJ, you have a long body for your position, and Coach Barlow was just telling us that you physically, you really fit a good mold to go up against these big receivers, but mentally, regardless of your size, you've got to be a special kind of mindset to play cornerback because the pressure you're under on every play. What kind of mindset do you bring to your position? How do you kind of stay right with everything that when things are going good, when things are going bad?
I take it one play at a time. You can't focus about what's going to happen next play or what happened the play before. You just have to think about the play that is going on right there and there.
Being one of the Bay-Made guys here, local, you know the history of USF football, and I know Coach has brought in some football alumni periodically to talk to the team. As this rebuild continues and as you guys find more success, what does it mean to you to be part of the effort to bring this program back?
Me personally, I just want to be able to I want to be able to fulfill my spot on the defense and do my job, as well as helping my teammates to become a better defense so that we can be able to be successful in the near future. And by doing that, I want to be able to practice hard. My teammates, they push me every single day. in the weight room, on the field, and even in the classroom, because most of the times you're not successful in the classroom, you'll be able to perform on the field. So it just helped me keep focused and helped me play hard.
I know you haven't had as many wins as you guys wanted this year, but when you look at your schedule, NC State, Florida, Brigham Young, and now of late Houston, and this week Cincinnati, this is one of the toughest schedules in the country. What has it been like to play that level of competition, and how do you think it's going to get you guys better for the future that you play in all these great teams?
It's been great playing that competition because they're pretty good teams. They, of course, they're ranked in the top like 20, and being able to play those teams, they help us develop and help us see where we're at and see what we need to work on. Also to see what we have, what we're good at, so that we can improve in the future.
What's it like playing for Coach Scott? You know, this young coaching staff, for the most part, seems to connect really well with the players.
Playing for Coach Scott is an amazing experience. He teaches a lot, not only about football, but family. He goes into deep detail about a lot of life situations that help us develop as young men and as well as players.
And what about playing for Coach Barlow? He's a guy that's a veteran, has been around for a long time, and is in his first year with this staff. How have you adjusted to him, and what sort of lessons have you learned from Coach Barlow?
I learned a lot from Coach Barlow. It'll be hard to tell you everything that I learned from him, because he's been always on top of not even just me, our whole position group, about just focusing on the task at hand and being able to perform when we need to. And like I said, not only in the classroom, but not on the field, but in the classroom, and as well as being a young man outside of football.
Cincinnati Friday night, kind of an unusual night to play, national television. I know most of your focus is having your family here, physically here, to see you play. But is it something that matters to you when you're on national television on the full ESPN thing and everybody in the country can see you, or is that not something that really factors into your mindset?
It's like half and half. Like I would honestly love to have my family there to watch me, but if they can't be there to watch me, then I have to be able to perform without them there or with them there.
So Cincinnati comes in, they're ranked number 2 in the country in the polls. They're trying to get into the college football playoff. People want to see what they're going to do. They want to see how good they can perform. So that's their mindset coming into this game, to win as convincingly as they can. On the other side, you guys have a great opportunity if you can pull this upset with so many people watching. What do you think about just the opportunity of having a team like that come in?
This opportunity is a great opportunity, being able to play against one of the top-ranked teams in the nation, and just having the mindset of we could pull this upset off, and just being able to play to our best ability and to see where it'll lead us into the future.
TJ, thanks. Good luck on Friday night. It's been a good first season here for you. Keep it going.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
TJ Robinson, number 2 in the Bulls' defensive secondary. Stay with us. Joey and I back to wrap it up after this on the USF Football Radio Show. Friday night football at Raymond James Stadium, Bulls in Cincinnati. Joey Johnston in for Sam Barrington this week. And Joey, you mentioned earlier in the show, Cincinnati's going to be on the accelerator the whole night here because they're trying to get into the top 4 in the national rankings. But I would think looking at the tape of USF Houston would probably give them a little pause in getting ready for this game.
I would imagine to be sort of a horror show for the Cincinnati coaches to see all those points put up by USF, and they're probably wondering what they're getting into down here. But yeah, they're in an interesting position because they're not only called to win, but they're called to win big. They're in a situation where, they beat Tulsa, and the reaction is, but how much did you win by? So they've got to put on a great show. On the other hand, they're playing a USF team that has showed they can put up a lot of points. So it really makes for an interesting Friday night matchup.
We've talked about it a lot this year. Moral victories don't do anybody any good. But there sure was a lot to be proud of for USF in that game last Saturday.
Very exciting, very entertaining, and extremely competitive. I know people I've talked to said, wow, that was a fantastic night of entertainment. Obviously you want to get the victory, but you can see this USF team improving by the week. And everybody that's been around it knows how close they are. They're just looking for a breakthrough. And what bigger breakthrough could there be than a chance to take on the number two ranked team in the country?
Friday night, 6 o'clock. Don't forget the early start time. This is the final home game of the 2021 regular season, so we hope to see you out there before the Bulls go on the road to play Tulane in New Orleans. That'll do it for this week. Thanks for joining us on the USF Football Radio Show.